Have you ever noticed that we kind of get on the Israelites when they were brought out of Egypt and going to the Promised Land, how they often complained and argued all the time, and even wanted to go back to Egypt where they were slaves. I mean, it wasn't like one thing bad happened and they all of a sudden complained and want to go back. And it's crazy that, like, didn't they see the miracles? Didn't they witness the power of God being displayed like never before? And yet they chose to and wanted to go back to that and not pursue on when hardships came. And we give them a hard time, but we're not that different. Not that different, you know. Let's say this. Let's say this. What is the greatest miracle you have ever experienced? Is it not salvation? Isn't God redeeming you from the pit of hell, pulling you out of your sin, clothing you with righteousness? Isn't that the greatest miracle of all time? That God reconciled us to himself? Isn't that the greatest miracle? Doesn't that surpass the miracles and the power of God being displayed in Egypt? I think so. We kind of take it a light thing, but it's not a light thing. And so we've been saved, and yet when hardship comes, we're quickly to say, man, why is this happening to me? Why am I going through this? Why doesn't God love me? You know, we tend to complain a lot about what God isn't doing in our present circumstances when he just saved us from sin. And I get it. It's easy to be discouraged, especially when you're fighting a battle for a long time, and that battle doesn't seem like it's going to get over with. I get that. I get that more than you know. And it's easy to think, well, what's going on? Why isn't God moving? Why isn't God... Why? Instead of looking at what God has done and thanking him for what he has done and what he has redeemed you from, and trusting him for the future. It's easy to be blinded by just our circumstances and not being able to see what God has in store for us. But if a God loved us so much to save us, that same God loves us enough to get us through whatever we're facing. And so I would encourage you to just, cast all your cares upon him, for he cares for you. Do it. Speak in tongues, because that's where the power of God comes, and that's when you begin to pray the will of God in your life. And trust him for what he has in store for you next. Love you guys. Have a good week.